Former People's Partnership Minister Bharath is calling for more clarity from the government with regards to human trafficking and how it will deal with the Venezuelan migrant influx. He is especially concerned with what will take place after the one-year registration period.
There is need for the government to be decisive and effective in its management of this crisis. The authorities must state what happens after the one-year period of stay elapses and what specifically the migrants would receive from the government. There must be a declared decision on what would be done with those who did not register and others who would continue to slip through our ever-porous borders. There must also be a public announcement on what is required of each registered migrant. Relevant information from the registration process must be shared with relevant stakeholders, such as law enforcement, immigration, and the judiciary. Will migrants be required to carry official documentation to prove their legitimacy in Trinidad and Tobago?
Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy has praised the Minister of National Security's response to the U.S. State Department's assessment of Trinidad and Tobago's migration policies.
In a statement on the U.S. Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago's website, they said they appreciated the National Security Minister's balanced approach to the issues raised in the 2019 Trafficking in Persons report. It went on to say that they look forward to working with the government to continue fighting this crime against universal human rights. The ministry said it's aware of the recommendations made in the report specific to Trinidad and Tobago, such as expanding victim screening and victim services, increasing training on trafficking for non-governmental organizations and shelter staff, and further increasing efforts to investigate, prosecute, and convict traffickers. According to the report, Tier 2 means that the country does not fully meet the Trafficking Victims Protections Act minimum standards, but are making significant efforts to bring themselves into compliance with those standards. The TIP report, which covers up to March, said Trinidad and Tobago remains at the Tier 2 status. The country has held this ranking since 2017. According to the U.S. State Department, the tier placement is based not on the size of the country's problem, but on the extent of government's efforts to meet the TVPA's minimum standards for the elimination of human trafficking. There are a number of standards listed. Number 1 on the list states the government of the country should prohibit severe forms of trafficking in persons and punish acts of such trafficking. The U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, has said that human trafficking is one of the most heinous crimes on earth. He added that currently traffickers are robbing a staggering 24.9 million people of their freedom and basic human dignity.